Welcome to the Vine Life Podcast. I'm Tony Clark, your host. My special guest today is Sammy Sadler. Now, Sammy is a country singer-songwriter. Now, Sammy, your song, I Can't Get Close Enough, this song continues to honor the legacy of 80s and 90s country. Now, it's originally written by J.P. Pennington and Sammy LeMaire, or Sonny LeMaire, excuse me, and recorded by Exile. Now, the song became the group's 10th number one hit in 1987, spending 14 weeks on the country charts. More information about Sammy can be found at sammysadler.com. Once again, sammysadler.com. Sammy, thank you so much for being on the program today.
Tony, man, thank you for having me. I'm sorry I was running a little late, man, but it's great to see you, and thank you so much for having us on your program.
Absolutely. No worries on this end. Absolutely not. So, Sammy, I've got to tell you, my wife and I are huge fans of 80s and 90s country, that genre of country music, which seems to have evaporated away for some reason. I don't know why. But this version of I Can't Get Close Enough really takes us back to that era when we were growing up as kids. And just tell me a little bit about this song. What's your excitement about this song and why this song right now?
Well, I've always loved Exile, first of all, and I've always loved this song, and I've been opening my show with this song for 30-something years. And how it all really came about is Sonny's wife, Mary, we're friends on Facebook, and she had seen us out on one of the shows, and I opened up all my shows, and she goes, "I love that's one of my favorite songs." Her and I started talking, and it's one of my favorites. That's the reason I open all my shows with it. And I just told her, I said, "Man, I'd love for Sonny and all the guys to come in and sing with me on the record." And she talked to Sonny, and they wanted to hear the version that I had cut. I sent it over to them, and they said, "Man, I don't know what we could do much better to do on it." I said, "Man, to have you guys on it would be so humbling to me, and such an honor." And man, they heard the cut, and they said absolutely that they'd come in and put their vocals on. And man, it's just such an honor to have those guys, the original members, 62 years. And I've got the original guys with me on the records, and I'm just so happy and so proud of this record, man.
So, Sammy, working with the guys from Exile, just take me into the studio process. What was it like working with these guys?
Well, I'd already had the vocals and all of the tracks and everything cut, and then I sent it over, and they listened to it, and then they were going to be in Kentucky in the studio working on some of their stuff. So my engineer and my producer sent the tracks to Kentucky to their engineer, and then they put all the vocals and stuff on in Kentucky at the studio where they were cutting some of their new stuff. And man, when we got it back and listened to it, man, it's like having a set of angels on your record, man. Their vocals and their harmonies are so pure and so tight. It's just unbelievable. And like I said earlier, to have all of those guys and the original members for over 62 years, man, I'm just so humbled and so thankful and grateful to them for coming in and singing on the record. And I'm just so proud of it. And I hope that'll resonate with the people that get a chance to hear this record. And I hope they'll enjoy it as much as we did doing it for them.
Sammy, what type of feedback have you gotten from this song, this redo, I guess, of I Can't Get Close Enough? What type of feedback have you heard from some of your fans, family, whoever?
Well, I mean, it's just been out. It just come out yesterday, and the Heartland channel premiered it, and we've gotten a lot of great response so far on it. Everybody's loving the song and loving the video, and I'm just asking everybody that gets a chance to hear my music and hear this record to just, if you like it, just share it with all of your friends, all of your fans, and all the people on your Facebook pages. That's how we get the music out today. And if you like this record or you like the video, I just appreciate it if you'd share it. Go to my YouTube page and like my stuff, my Facebook, because it all begins with you guys at radio and podcast and the fans out there. Without you guys, we don't have a voice. And so I appreciate anybody sharing my music and liking it.
And Sammy, you've got quite an incredible story as well. And before the interview, I was listening to one of your most recent albums, 1989, and I think it ties in with a book that you've written as well. But let's start with the album first, 1989, that came out fairly recently in the past few years. You've got some really good collaborations on this album as well, correct?
We did. Audium Nashville came to me and wanted to know if I wanted to do a record, and I said, "Well, yeah, you know." And they said, "Let's. What do you want to title it?" So I just titled it 1989. I went back to the year that everything happened to us with my career there. And it didn't take me 15 minutes to pick out the songs that were on the album because it was just some of my favorite songs that I love from that era and some of my favorite artists. And so we went in and cut the album, and then I added a bonus track onto it. And, we had Larry Stewart of Restless Heart come in with me. We had Marty Raybon of Shenandoah and T. Graham Brown, and once again, I'm just honored and humbled that those guys would come in and sing with us on the records. And I feel like that album turned out really good and is a great album. And I hope the people that's out there, you'll spread the word for them to get to hear that because I believe it was a good album.
Well, it's an amazing album, and that year is key in your life as well. And you fairly recently, wrote a book as well. I think it's A Hit with a Bullet. And if just tell the audience a little bit about your experience in 1989 and how that kind of changed your life.
Well, Tony, if you're not familiar with my career and we live in an age now that everything's digital. You just go and push a button and, you're right there in front of anything or anybody. I got a recording deal right out of high school when I was 18 years old in 1984. And I moved to Nashville right out of high school, kind of in the winter of 84, and got a record deal within 6 to 8 months when I moved up there. And, back in those days, they wouldn't put out an album on you. They'd cut singles to kind of see how your singles would do before they'd ever, might do an album on you. So from 1985 to 1989, I had 6 nationally charted records, and my sixth single that we had cut and put out was the old Aaron Neville song, Tell It Like It Is. And that record took off for us and started running up the charts on Billboard and R&R and Cashbox and all the charts then. And they were getting me ready to cut my first album. And the song was going up the charts, and I think we were somewhere in the 60s or 40s or somewhere and we'd only been out 2 or 3 weeks, and it had started racing up the charts. And at the time, I had become friends with Kevin Hughes, and Kevin was the chart manager for Cashbox magazine back then. So he was in charge of where the top 100 records would move from 100 to number one. And it just so happens that my record was out and him and I were friends, and I didn't even know I was going to see him that day, which was on March the 9th, 1989. I didn't even know I was going to see him. And I ended up seeing him that night. To make a long story short, after we had gotten together and went and ate dinner, we stopped by my record company's office on the way back to make a phone call, and I called my parents. And while we were there, we thought we heard somebody rattle the front door, and I was on the phone talking to my parents. And Kevin got up and went out and looked and looked, come back. And I said, "Man, what was?" He said, "Man, I really don't know. I really couldn't tell. It looked like somebody might have been walking down the street." So I just told my parents I'd get off the phone with them. I'd call them tomorrow. And so Kevin and I were getting ready to leave. We went out in front of the office there, and we looked out the doors and looked out the windows, and we didn't see anything. So we went on out and started walking across 16th Avenue there. And as I got into Kevin's car, I started to reach for the door to shut the door, and I thought I caught something moving out of the corner of my eye. And I just looked up, and I just automatically seen this gun right in front of my face. And I said, "Oh my God, this guy's got a gun." I threw my arms up to cover my head, and that's when he shot. And if I hadn't thrown my arms up, it hit me in my arm. It'd have shot me right in the head if I hadn't done that. And obviously I can't beat a speeding bullet. So God had to be right there with me that night. And they said that Kevin did a barrel roll out of the car, started running back up 16th, and the guy went after him and shooting, and then finally hit him once, and Kevin fell and he shot him twice in the back of the head and run off. Kevin was murdered that night. I was shot and left for dead, and it went around the world as the Murder on Music Row.
Well, just listening to some of your interviews, and I haven't had a chance to read the book yet. A Hit with a Bullet. Um, and you've spoken about this. Did this kind of change your spiritual outlook on your life?
You know, at the time, Tony, I didn't know it at the time, but they didn't even tell me Kevin had passed away until the day they were burying him. And what's funny is that the police ended up treating me like I had something to do with this, and I didn't have anything to do with it, didn't have any knowledge of anything. I told them everything that I could tell them. I took a lie detector test. They took me to Vanderbilt, had me hypnotized, sitting right on the couch behind me, and didn't even believe I was hypnotized. And the guy told him, well, absolutely he was. But I didn't find out that Kevin was passed away until they had buried him. And then I found out that Kevin was a Christian, and I wasn't at the time, Tony. And God thought enough of me to save me and give me a second chance. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that God left me here and gave me a second chance to get right. And I can say that I am a Christian, and I can say I'm saved now. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that opportunity that He left me here.
Well, again, this is an incredible story. I encourage the folks that if you're listening via podcast only or watching the interview on one of the channels, go to Sammy's website, and you can simply go to sammysadler.com. And you can certainly find information on how to order this book, how to order the latest single. Sammy, what's on your schedule coming up? Are you recording an album? You're gonna what's on your schedule?
Well, I've got the album already finished, Tony, and we've got that in the can. Right now we're just we got this record out and the new video, and I don't know if you remember, do you remember the Gibson Miller Band from the early 90s?
I've heard the
If
name.
you remember the Gibson Miller Band, Dave Gibson and Blue Miller had a group called the Gibson Miller Band, and they won a Vocal Group of the Year for the Academy of Country Music back in 1994. Blue Miller ended up passing away, and Dave, I don't know if Dave really went after another record deal after that, but he has penned and written some of the most iconic records in country music, like Jukebox in My Mind for Alabama, If It Don't Come Easy for Tanya Tucker, Ships That Don't Come In for Joe Diffie, Lonely and Gone for Montgomery Gentry. It just goes on and on of the hit records that Dave has written. So I put a show together, and we're putting a tour together called the Hits and History Tour with myself and Dave Gibson. And we've already done one show, and we got a couple of shows we just booked this week for 2026. And we're going to bring that out on the road. And obviously I'm going to be singing some of the hits from the 80s and 90s, and then I'm going to be doing some of my own stuff. Dave is going to sing a lot of the records that he's written, and plus some of their hit records, and tell the stories behind some of the songs and how they came about. And obviously I'll be sharing the night of the Murder on Music Row and everything I've lived through. So if anybody out there would love to see the show, go to my website and get in contact with us and the contact people that are handling our bookings. We'd love to come to your hometown and meet you. And that's what we live for, Tony, is to come out on the road and share our music and meet the fans and make new fans and make new friends. And anybody that would like to see us or bring us into your hometown, get in touch with us. We'd love to see you.
Well, absolutely. And again, Sammy, you're extremely talented. You're an extremely talented singer-songwriter. You're a talented author as well. And you've got an incredible life story. I encourage folks to go to Sammy's website, sammysadler.com, and you can see all of his social media links as well, order his music. But Sammy, I can't thank you enough for coming on and telling us about your brand new single today.
Man, Tony, it's a pleasure, man. And thank you again for letting us have a voice with you. And like you mentioned, if you go to my Facebook blue check mark page has been hacked. So you've got to go to Sammy Sadler Official Facebook. That is my official Facebook, and it's SammySadler.com. And then we're on TikTok and Instagram. But if you'd like to order a copy of my book, A Hit with a Bullet, go to my website and click on the book, and you can get it there. And we've also, if you want to pick up an album, they may have a bundle on there where you can get an album and a book. You can get it autographed there on my website. Or if you're not a big book reader, it's on the Audible. You can download it on Audible and get it there as well. So again, Tony, thank you so much for having me on today and sharing my music and my story. It's always a pleasure, and I appreciate your time, and I hope your audience keeps supporting you and what you do, because without you guys, we don't have voices, man. We just want to thank you and appreciate you.
Well, again, appreciation on this end for you as well.